Alrighty. It is good to see you guys here in the uh, YouTube live here. I'm going to just do a real quick. There's 7 of you guys in here already. Jeez, I haven't even turned the button on for like all of 10 seconds. You guys have been waiting for me. This is great. You guys are awesome. Let me know in the chat box who's here. Go ahead and put your comments in here. I want to make sure that you guys, or that I can see your comments. So I'm just going to put testing in the chat box here. I should be able to like show comments up. Okay, yeah. All right, perfect. All right, so there's a bunch of you guys in here. So the fact that you guys showed up this early, you guys probably were here before I was, which is, kind of cool. But I appreciate you guys taking the time out to watch my class. I know I have some familiar faces in here, and I have some new faces in here. Some of you guys have, recently bought my courses, and this is your first time seeing me live. So this is your first time. Good to see you, and I hope that you guys find immense value. And so Gian 808 says, Konnichiwa, good to see you. Good to see some familiar faces in here. Mr. Anthony's here. Mr. Don is here. I just saw you in my 360 private class. Mr. Chase is here. Good to see you as well. Good to see you. All right. Awesome. So there's already 12 of you guys. I'm not going to be on here too long. Now, I know that the title says that we're going to go over one piano chord that's used in hundreds of pop songs. But we're actually going to go over 4 concepts today, just super beginner concepts. If you are new to piano, this class is also for you. So what I'm going to do is just a couple of announcements before we start. I'm going to try to be done by 9 o'clock Eastern. It's 8 o'clock Eastern time now. So a couple of announcements for those of you guys who would like to support. I have a little Cash App at the bottom third there. It's $, the musical web of 2 B's. I know some people are like, hey, how can we support you? You can I just threw that up there. Miss Candace says, is a first timer. Good to see you. Good to see you. We have another newbie here, Miss Noble Michelle. Good to see you guys. All right. Perfect. So that's the first thing. And here's another thing that I would request from you guys. If nothing else, if you guys can go ahead and hit the like button. And the reason why that is because it basically triggers the YouTube algorithm to show this live to more people during and after the live has been published. So my channel's close to 5,000 subscribers, but hitting the like button is going to help. It signals to YouTube that this content is good. And one more thing I like to do as I'm going through my lessons is I usually like to ask my students for referrals. So for those of you guys who are here, you guys can do me a big favor. If you guys like the content that I put up or that I'm teaching, let me know if there are other people that they might be other artists, musicians, songwriters, producers who might find this content very helpful. Let me know in the chat box if you know other people who you can refer to this particular free class. I think it's either this class or whatever. So if you guys are able to do that for me, let me know in the chat box if you say yes, or give me a thumbs up or some kind of feedback to let me know if I need to even bother giving you guys the form that you guys can use to submit their information so they can access this good stuff. So let me know in the chat box if that is doable for you. If so, that would be amazing. And in the meantime, so what I'll do is I'll go over the first lesson, and if it's good, I'll give you guys some link that you guys can use to refer others. It's really easy instructions, nothing too invasive, and it won't take you away from your learning experience. All right, Mr. Lynn Chase says, yes, awesome, perfect. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. And I do have incentives for those of you guys who do refer. If you guys have any music that you're working on, if you refer up to 2 people, this is for the free class, all they have to do is just submit their email. If you can refer up to 2 people, I will feature your work on my Instagram page and my Facebook page, which collectively has over 20,000 followers. So if you guys can refer up to 2 people, I will give you that. If you guys refer up to 10 people, if you know a whole bunch of folks, not only will I feature your work live, not live, but if you not only will I feature your work on my page, but I'll also give you a live interview if you want, where you can talk about what you got going on. And again, that's going to be to a large following of people. So you can refer 2 people, You get your work featured for up to 10 people before the class is over. You guys will get a live interview with me, and then we'll arrange that some other time or later after the class is over. All right, so enough talking. It's 8:05. I want to get into lesson number 1. I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera over. Let me know if you guys can see my keyboard. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can see my keyboard. I don't want to just be teaching a lesson. You guys are like, what is she talking about? I can't see anything. I can just see her face. Let me know in the chat box because I want to make sure that you guys can see what I see before I get into my lesson here, which I can see on my end. All right, perfect. You guys say yes, yes, yes. All right. So lesson number 1 is how to 10x your piano rhythm coordination with both hands together. And again, I would encourage you to hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe, turn your notification bell on for future videos and to help the algorithm push this to more people. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a right hand rhythm and a left hand rhythm. It's going to be real simple. And you don't even necessarily have to know the notes for this, but in case you guys are new to the piano, C is the white key to the left of the 2 black keys. If you notice, the black keys are in groups of 2, 3, 2, 3. C is the white key against the left side of the 2 black keys. And then from there it goes D, E, F, G, and then after G it's A, and then B, and the next C. And so the way this works is this. We're going to go over a simple rhythm pattern for the right hand. Now, a simple rhythm pattern is this. Now, for those of you guys who may not know, and this is where I'm going to pull out my handy dandy iPad here, and I'm going to show you guys some basics of rhythm. That way you guys have a better understanding of what is happening here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new page. I want to make sure that you guys can see my little screen. No, you guys cannot. Go ahead and lower this. And I'm actually going to turn my thing off here so you guys can see very clearly. All right. So there are some basic rhythm notes that you guys have to know about. The first one, which is what the right hand is going to play, is this note. And it looks like this. It's a note with a stem and a filled-in circle. This note is called a quarter note. So what is a quarter note? A quarter note is the length of 1 beat. So I'm going to pull out my metronome here. And a metronome is basically a tempo keeper where you can hear what the tempo of the song is or what the beat pattern of the song is. So you guys can hear those ticks. Tick, 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 tick. So for example, if I were to play quarter notes, I would be giving 1 beat to 1 tick. Here's how it would sound. So that is how a quarter note is going to sound. So we're going to make this really simple. We're going to practice the right hand. We will use our thumb. I'll go ahead and bring my camera back, my light back here. So we're going to use our thumb to play C, and we're going to just count, and we're going to do this very slowly. So I'm going to count in 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So if you do that a few times, it's real simple. Just 1 finger, just 1 note. And it doesn't even matter what note that you use. The point is quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the reason why we're doing coordination with rhythms is because when you're playing songs, when you're creating songs, it's likely that the left hand is going to have to use 1 rhythm pattern while the right hand is managing another rhythm pattern. And if you're new to piano, that can be really, really tough to do. So this is a real simple exercise to get you acquainted with what is called split thinking. Now there's the half note, which is 2 beats long. We won't work with the half note today. And there's also the whole note, which is 4 beats long, so you would hold it for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, which means you wouldn't let up until you get to the end of the 4th beat. The 2 notes that we're going to work with today is the quarter note, which I just showed you. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the other note we're going to work with, which is what we'll do with the left hand, is what's called the 8th note. And that is going to be the next part of this segment. But before I continue, there is I do have a free piano in 3 steps video where if you want to learn piano in 3 steps for free, I have that link in the chat or the description if you're watching the recording. So if you're watching the recording, the link will be in the description box. It's free to sign up. If you're watching this live, I just put it in the chat box if you want to sign up for that. Now, what is an 8th note? Let me pull out my handy dandy iPad once more so you guys know what an 8th note is. So if you know that the quarter note is 1 beat long, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. The 8th note is going to be twice as fast. Now, if an 8th note is by itself, and this is just for a sheet music reference, right? If an 8th note is by itself, I'm going to just move this over so you guys can see. An 8th note by itself is going to look like this. It's going to look like a quarter note, but it's going to have what's called a flag at the top. If you see that flag, the quality, or not quality, the quantity or the value of this note changes. It is now what is called an 8th note. So how is an 8th note counted? If you go back to our metronome here, I'm going to pull it up. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make it go a little bit slower so you guys can understand. So here, if a quarter note is 1 beat to 1 tick, an 8th note, you're going to play 2 notes to 1 tick. And what we're going to do is we're going to play the left hand an octave lower. So if your right hand is here, you're going to play the next C down. And we're going to use our thumb for the left hand to play the 8th notes. Here's how the 8th notes will sound. So basically, 8th notes are played twice as fast as the quarter note. So whatever speed that you're playing the quarter note, an 8th note is going to basically be twice as fast. So for every 1 quarter note that you play, you're going to play 2 8th notes. So the right and left hand are going to sound like this. Now, I'm not expecting you to play it this fast, but I want you to listen to how it sounds. So right hand quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. And for reference, the 8th notes, I'm going to bring my light back here. So the quarter notes are going to be counted 1, 2, 3, 4. The 8th notes are counted 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if you are a first timer, the way that you approach this is you go really slow. So you slow down the quarter note, which allows you to slow down the 8th note. So that way you're not trying to, if you try to do this too fast and this is your first time doing it, you're going to mess up because the left is going to try to do what the right hand's doing, or the right hand want to try to do what the left hand's doing. That's not going to work. You're going to have to go very slowly. So start with, let's say, going this slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. The purpose of going slow is it gives your brain a chance to process what is happening. So you're going to hold the you're going to hold the right hand as the left hand plays that second note. 1 and. So you see how it went slow? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and pace, it allows you to be able to process every single note. And so what happens is after you practice this exercise at a slow speed, it kicks in. Your brain goes, okay, I understand what's happening now. And then at some point, you'll be able to comfortably but steadily speed up the exercise. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you do it a few times until you're comfortable, and then you can speed it up again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then you just keep speeding up and speeding up. A good tool to use is the metronome. And the way to spell it is M-E-T. I'm going to put it in the chat box. R-O-N-O-M-E. So M as in Mary, E, T as in Tom, R-O-N as in Nancy, O-M as in Mary, E. If you type that in the App Store, you should be able to get a ton of different metronomes for free. You can use it and you can set the tempo. If you set the tempo at 40, that'll be very slow. The idea is to find a tempo that's slow enough for you to practice the actual exercise. Start there, work on it for a couple of minutes, and then once you're comfortable, if you're starting at, let's say, 40, you may go from 40 to 50 and then practice the same exercise. And then from 50 to 60, practice the same exercise. And that will be the starting point of you being able to build coordination when it comes to playing different rhythms for each hand. Now I'm going to go ahead and check out the chat box here. Let me know in the chat box if that makes sense or if that was in any way helpful. The other thing that I would encourage you guys to do is ask questions in the chat box. There's only 14 of us in here, so you guys have an opportunity now before my channel gets big and there's like 1,000 folks in here and I can't answer every question. If you have a question, if you need me to go over anything, if you need me to clarify anything, feel free to ask that question in the chat box. That's the cool thing about doing these YouTube lives is I'm able to see what you guys are talking about, and it gives me the opportunity to go over anything that you guys need me to go over and all of that good stuff. So again, if that was helpful, and here's one of my rules. If you guys don't ask a question, I'm going to assume that you guys are following, and I'm going to just keep going. So I don't want you guys to be like, you didn't, I was confused and you just kept going. I kept going because no one said anything. So if you have questions, even if I'm going over something, if you put it in the chat box, I will check it before I go to the next lesson. All right, so I want to check in. I know some of you guys said that you guys would be able to refer other people. So here are the instructions. They're really, really easy. So for those of you guys who say, hey, I got some folks who might find your class is very helpful, all they have to do, or all you have to do, is text them this message. I'm going to put it in the chat box. And so you text it out to folks, say, hey, my piano teacher has a free class on YouTube on beginner course songwriters and producers. If you want the video, just text me back your email address. That's all you have to say is, hey, if you want this, free video from my teacher, just text me back your email address. And that's all they have to do is just text back their email. When they text back their email address, what you're going to do is you're going to put their information, their name, their email, and their phone number. Since you're texting them, I'm assuming you're going to have their phone number in this form. And I'm going to put the form in the chat box as well. So when the form opens, you're going to put their information first, their name, their phone number, their contact info. And then you're going to put at the bottom, it'll say who referred this person. That's where you will put your name, and then you press the submit button. It will send them a link to the free video. It's actually a pre-recorded video, so they'll be able to access it whenever it's convenient for them. So you don't have to worry about, oh, they're busy right now, they can't watch it. It'll be a video in there for them to watch whenever they want. But the idea is to get them to send their information, send their email, hopefully before the live class ends. And then I'll be able to, as the submissions come in, because you put your name at the bottom as a referral, I'm able to keep track of how many referrals you've sent in. So hopefully that makes sense, guys, in terms of the referrals. I will be checking in throughout the class to see if you guys have been sending out the message to your referrals, and also, if they're responding back. So with that said, I'm assuming you guys are good to go. I'm going to go ahead and move on to lesson number 2. Lesson number 2 is going to basically be about the topic that is in the title of this class, or this live. So lesson number 2, we're going to be covering how to play the one chord that's used in hundreds of pop songs. And again, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. If you have questions, put it in the comment section or the chat box if you're watching this live. Now, in pop music, there's different types of chords that are used, but there's one particular chord. If you are a complete beginner, this is a very important chord to know. And I'm going to break down the anatomy of a chord and how it's used in actual pop music. This would be really good if you are learning a pop song, whether it's on sheet music, whether you're learning by ear, or even if you are writing music, this would be a good chord to have in your toolbox. So what is this chord that I'm going to be talking about? The chord is called the major triad. What is a major triad? Before I get into that, it's good to know the names of the keys. So again, for reference, C is the white key to the left of the 2 black keys, because the black keys go in patterns of 2, 3, 2, 3. C is the white key to the left of the 2 black keys, and it goes from there, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. I may use some black keys in this example, and I will tell you what those black keys are once we approach them. But the white keys is good to know for this example. What is a major triad? There's a technical difference between major chords, minor chords, augmented chords. It kind of gets a little crazy. But from an ear training standpoint, major equals happy. So for example, a major chord may sound like this. A minor chord to the ear sounds sad. So that's the easiest way to know a major or a minor. So we're dealing with the major today. A triad is a 3-note chord. You have 7th chords, which has 4 notes. You have 9th chords. If you're into jazz, it kind of just gets crazy. But a triad is simply 3 notes. So what is a major triad and how is it built? A major triad is going to have a particular way that you can build it, and you can use this, I guess you could say, this calculation for any starting point on the keys. So a major triad, again, is a 3-note chord that sounds happy. That's the easiest way to understand a major triad. But there's a specific way in which you build this triad. Here's how you build it. If you start with a particular key, right? Let's say if you wanted to build a C major triad, where C is the root, and then we have E, which is the next key, and then we have G, which is the next key, right? To build a C major triad, you start with C, which is the root, and then you're going to count exactly 4 keys and then 3 keys. That includes the white and the black keys. Here's what I mean. If you start with C, you're going to count the first 4 keys first, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Which gives you the 2nd note in the triad. So you have the root, and then you have this key. And then from here, you're going to count 3 keys. 1, 2, 3. And that gets you the final note of the major triad. So we have C, E, and G, which gives us a C major triad. So why is that 4-3 calculation important? This can be applied to any starting key. If you start with a key, and if you count 4 and then 3, you will always get a major triad no matter what. I'll give you another example. Let's say I wanted to build an E major triad. I would start with E, which is the root. So E is now the new root, but I had to figure out what the other 2 notes are. I used the 4-3 method. So from E, I go 4 keys, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this one, I do land on the black key. So the major and minor doesn't really matter if, the black and white key pattern doesn't really matter. I'll address that in a second. But we have a black key here. And then from this black key, we're going to count 3 keys. 1, 2, 3, and we have B. So now we have E, and this black key here in between, the 3 black keys is, well, one of the names is A flat or G sharp, whichever one. And then the top note is going to be B. So now we have an E major triad. So the tonality of the C major triad is different than the E major triad, but they both sound happy. And that's what makes them, you know, major triads, is the technical difference between the two in terms of the calculations. It goes a little deeper than that, which I do cover in my Piano 360 membership, which I'll go over a little bit later. But the bottom line of it is major sounds happy, but you can have a happy chord anywhere on the piano. Now, how does this apply to pop music? Before I get into that, again, I want to remind you that I do have my free Piano in 3 Steps video where you can learn how to play piano in 3 easy steps. You go from naming the keys to playing chords by ear. That is in the description box if you're watching this pre-recorded, or in the chat box if you are watching this live. So make sure that you sign up for that. It's free before you move on to a different video. So now, what does this have to do with pop music? You might have heard some songs that might sound like this, right? So you might have, right? As a matter of fact, I'm going to use a very popular example. And ignore the way that I'm using my fingers here. This is not the way to play a triad. I want you guys to kind of just listen to how it sounds. I'm going to play a series of chords, right? And I want you to listen to how familiar it sounds. So I'm going to have a C major triad here, where it's C, E, and G, right? The next chord I'm going to play is the G major triad, G, B, and D, G, B, D. The next chord I'm going to play, I'm not expecting you guys to memorize this. I want you guys to just listen. The next chord is the A minor triad, A, C, and E. And then the final chord is the F major triad, F, A, C. So if I play all these together, I want you to just listen. The series of chords that I just played is an example of a chord progression. And chord progression is just a series of chords that happen one after the other in the song. This chord progression I just played is used in so many pop songs. If you're wondering why a lot of pop songs sound the same, but you just can't put your finger on it, I just told you one of the ways that they sound the same is they use the same chords. For example, Girls Like You. Cause girls like you run around with guys like me to sundown. When I come through, I need a girl like you, yeah, yeah. And what's that other song that came out a few years ago? Oh, I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours. Almost 50% of pop songs use that chord progression I just showed you. So if we break this down, right, the first chord that I just played is, guess what? A major triad. In this case, I'm playing a C major triad. C, E, and G. The next chord I'm playing is another major triad. It just happens to be the G major triad, where we have G at the bottom, B in the middle, and D at the top. If you were to build this out, you still get the same 4-3 combination. The next chord is not a major triad, it's a minor triad. And you'll hear how the energy of that chord is a little bit different. It's a little bit gloomy and sad. Right? So A, C, E is an A minor triad, which I'll cover in a different lesson. And then finally, that final chord that I played is another major triad, F, A, C. So if you were to start with F, which is what makes it an F major triad, and if you were to use the 4-3 calculation, you would fall on F, A, and C. That's how major triads show up in pop songs. And because this chord progression is recycled over and over and over again in a lot of pop songs, once you learn that chord progression, which is covered in my Piano 360 membership, once you've understood what the chord progression is, you will find yourself recycling it over and over and over again when it comes to learning new pop songs, creating new pop songs. It'll make it easier for you to learn and play pop songs over time. So let me go ahead and switch back here. Let me know if that part makes sense. Give me a thumbs up in the chat box if that was an eye-opener for you. Or again, if you have questions, which I encourage you guys to ask. If you guys need me to kind of just go over it again, or if it just makes complete sense, hopefully it does. Again, give me some feedback in the comment section. That way I know you guys are still with me. I hope I didn't lose you guys. It's a lot to cover in one class, but I want to make sure that I get the basics out the way to get you guys in the door with at least understanding how music theory works, how the piano works, and how it kind of all comes together. Okay, I see a whole bunch of different thumbs ups. Good, 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 good. Awesome, awesome. I hope that I'm just checking in to see how you guys are doing with the referral links. If you guys have been sending out the text messages to folks, if this is, Orlando, good to see you. Good to see you. It's good seeing a familiar face in here. I know I kind of learned my students over time. I know some familiar names in here, and it's some of you guys I'm seeing for the first time. And but again, I try my best to figure out who's who. But yes, I know some familiar names in here. So I hope you guys are doing good with the referrals, making sure that you guys are sending them out with the fingerings. So someone asked, they're having issues with the fingerings here. I'm trying to see if there's anything. You know what? I think you might appreciate the next lesson, because even though it's not about fingerings, that does play a role in what I'm going to be teaching in this particular class. And the 360 membership goes way more in depth when it comes to fingerings, but this is going to be a basic kind of getting your foot in the door type of concept. So I'm glad that you asked that, because hopefully lesson number 3 will help you at least get the beginning concepts of fingerings. Speaking of, I'm going to go ahead and jump back in here. So lesson number 3, we are going to be talking about how to hear the difference between major and minor songs by ear. And again, make sure you hit the like button if you haven't done so. If you like this content, please subscribe. And if you have questions, put them in the comments section. So we've already talked about the difference between major and minor for those who are new. If you think about songs, right, they have different tonalities to them. They have different energies to them. And sometimes when we don't understand theory, we kind of have this thing where, oh, it feels this way or it feels that way. But in music theory, we do give them particular names. So 2 very easy examples are major and minor. So in theory, and when it comes to the ear, major sounds happy, minor sounds sad. So if I was to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in a major key, it would sound like this. Right? If I were to take that same song and change it into a minor key, it would sound like this. So you see how the tonality is a little bit, or the energy of the song is a little bit different. It's more sad, it's more gloomy. So what does this mean when it comes to major and minor? How do we even navigate how to play major and how to play minor? You have songs that are in major and minor keys. You also have major and minor chords. You also have major and minor melodies. All of these come from the same roots, which is the scales. And I'm going to show you the C major scale and I'm going to give you an example of a minor scale. And I will use fingerings this time to help you kind of practice. So I want you to first hear the difference between a major and a minor scale, right? So a major scale sounds like this. And a minor scale sounds like this. That's just for reference, but I'm going to show you how to play each scale. So that way you guys have a reference point. So as always, you have this, for reference, this is either the 2 black keys, 3 black keys, 2, 3. C is the white key to the left of the 2 black keys. And then after that, it's D, E, F, G. And then after G, it's A. After A, it's B. And then after B, it is C. And then the pattern just repeats itself. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The other thing you need to know about the piano is that the fingers have numbers. In this case, we'll work with the right hand. The thumb is number 1. Index is number 2. Third finger or the middle finger is number 3. The ring finger is number 4. The pinky is number 5. That is the beginning of understanding how fingerings work. And the scales that you learn for each key has universal fingering patterns. So for the C major scale, think of the numbers like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What does that look like? We're going to use our 1 finger for C to start the scale. And then you're going to use your 2 fingers to play D. And remember, as you play each note, you're going to let go of the previous note. So if you get to D, you should only be playing D by itself. So let go of C and play D. Then you will use your 3rd finger to play E. So those are the first 3 notes. 1 for C, 2 for D, 3 for E. And what happens here is your thumb is going to go under the palm of your hand, under the rest of your fingers. It's going to sneak under, as you can see here. So we're on this side. It's going to go to F. And it allows you to reposition your entire hand to now be over here. So now the new anchor is F. It's no longer C. So 1 for C, 2 for D, 3 for E. Thumb comes under to play F. And then you reposition your entire hand. That allows you to use your 2 finger for G. And what this does is it gives you enough fingers to finish the scale. Your 3rd finger will now go to A. Your 4th finger will go to B. And your pinky will go to C, your 5th finger. So the C major scale is going to be 1 on C, 2 for D, 3 for E, thumb comes under, thumb for F, reposition, 2 for G, 3 for A, 4th finger for B, and 5th finger for C. First time here and I'm learning a lot. Awesome, awesome. I'm glad you guys are getting a lot of value in this. Now, this is kind of like a dual lesson. Yes, you are learning your first scale, or for some of you guys, maybe not your first scale. You also learn the fingerings, right? So whether I teach it to you or another teacher teaches it to you, it'll be the same exact fingerings. But the core of what I'm teaching you is what a major scale sounds like. It sounds happy. Anytime you hear a song in a major key, let's say if it's in the key of C, right? Anytime you hear a song in the key of C major, if you're dealing with the melodies, if you're dealing with the chords, it will all come from the scale that I just gave you. So the major chords are going to come from the major scale. The major melody is going to be pulled from the same major scale that I just showed you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the minor scale so you can hear and see the difference between the two. But again, I want to remind you, I do have a free Piano in 3 Steps video. if you are a complete beginner and you want to go from learning the keys on the keyboard to playing chords, easy chords by ear, that 3-step video will show you how to do that. That video is free. It is in the description or in the chat box if you're watching this live. So you heard how the C major scale sounds, right? What about the minor scale? The C minor scale is going to have some changes, but the good news is it has the exact same fingering as the C scale. So it still has the same 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fingerings, but the notes are slightly different. So here's how it's going to work. C, if we're playing the C minor scale, there's 3 minor scales, which is covered in the 360 program. But I'm going to give you guys the main one for now, the natural minor. So we'll start with C as we do for the major scale. And then we'll go to D, like we also do for the major scale. Here's where it changes, and you'll even hear how it sounds different. My third finger is no longer going to play E. It's going to play the black key to its left, which is E flat. So already we're hearing a difference in energy of the scale, right? So 1 finger for C, 2 finger for D, and 3rd finger for this black key here, which is E flat. And just like the major scale, we're going to, again, bring our thumb under to the same exact F that we've done for the major scale. And then reposition, like we did for the major scale. We'll use our 2 finger for G as normal. But the next 2 keys will be different. Instead of using our 3rd finger for A, we're going to use it for A flat, which is the black key to the left. It's the one in between the 3 black keys. We're going to use it to play A flat. And then we're going to take our 4th finger, instead of playing B, we're going to play the next black key over, which is over here, which is B flat. And then finally, we're going to end the scale with the same C at the top that we played for the major scale. So what does that look like? Thumb for C, 2 finger for D, 3rd finger for E flat, thumb comes under to play F, reposition, 2 finger for G, 3rd finger for A flat, which is this black key here, 4th finger for B flat, which is the next black key over, and then finally 5th finger for C. So again, you're hearing the difference between major and minor. So that's how you hear the difference between, well, obviously you've learned how to play the difference between 1 major scale and 1 minor scale. Here's what I'm going to do. Now, you guys may not be aware, but you can play major and minor scales in different keys. So we have a C major scale, which may sound like this. And I'm purposely not showing the keyboard because I want you guys to hear it. So a C major scale sounds like this. Right? If I were to play a G major scale, all it does is it starts with G, but it's still the same major sound. If I were to play a G minor scale, listen to how that sounds. Right? So you can play a major or a minor scale in any key. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an ear test. You guys tell me. I'm going to play a major scale, and it can be in any key, but I want you to listen for, I just told you what scales I'm going to play. That defeats the purpose. I want to play a scale, right? I'm going to pick a random key. It doesn't matter what key it's in. I want you to hear if you hear happy / major, or if you hear sad / minor, or minor / sad. So I'm going to pick a random key. I want you guys to listen very closely. Is that a major scale or a minor scale? Put it in the comment section, guys. Let me see. Let me see. We got different answers in here. All right. We got happy, sad, minor, major. Half of y'all are right. Listen very. I'm gonna play it one more time. Now, if you guys don't get it right the first time, that's perfectly fine. This is why ear training is important. Sometimes it takes a minute for your ear to know the difference between the two. That scale I just played is a major scale. So I'm gonna give you guys a reference. The major sounds like this. If it was a minor scale, it would sound like this. So you hear the difference? It's tricky, guys. It's tricky. If you're a first timer, it's going to be tricky. But again, as you build your ear, which is also in the 360 membership, it'll get easier as you go. So don't beat yourself up if you're like, I didn't get it right the first time. Contrary to what you might think, learning by ear can be learned. If you don't have it, you know, like the gift or whatever, people say, oh, you have a gift of learning by ear. Playing by ear can be learned. So just keep that in mind. One more test, and we're going to go over another lesson. I'm going to let you guys go. All right, listen to this one. Is this a major scale or a minor scale? Or does it sound happy or sad? What kind of mood does that give you? Happy, major, or sad, minor? I'll give you guys a clue. You don't have to listen to the whole scale. All you have to do is listen to the third note. That will tell you if it's major or minor. Oh, you guys are popping in the answers. Let me see. Sad, minor, minor, sad, sad, minor, minor, sad. If you said minor, you're good. You guys got it. So you see how the more you work with it, the easier it gets. So yes, that was a minor scale. For reference, the major version would be this. So you guys heard the difference. So you see how the more you work with it, the easier it gets, guys. This is fun. I hope you guys are having fun. Let me know if that makes sense, guys. Before I get into the next lesson, give me a thumbs up. I mean, it seems like the way you guys have answered this, that you guys are catching on pretty quickly. The third note, yes. So the third note is the cheat code. You don't have to listen to the whole chord. I keep saying chord. You don't have to listen to the whole scale to know whether it's major or minor. That third note will help. If that third note sounds happier, it's probably major. If it sounds sad, it's probably minor. So, all right, awesome. So you guys are good to go. I know it's getting a little late, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this lesson here real quick. So again, if that's helpful, please put a thumbs up in the chat box. If it's not helpful, ask questions. I very, very much encourage you guys to ask questions while we're in a phase where it's just a few of us in here. But in the meantime, here's what I'm going to do here. Okay, good. You guys are giving me thumbs up. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So here is, all right, so I'm going to switch my keyboard back over here. Now, for lesson number 4, I'm going to give you guys a technique or an easy exercise on how to last 10 times longer on the piano. And it's a real easy exercise. And again, please hit the like button if you have not done so already. It helps the channel grow, and it gives YouTube the signal that this is good content. So like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. If you have questions, put it in the comments in the chat. So what is this about playing 10 times longer on the piano? The reason why it's important for me to address this is because I get people who say, Ayana, you know, I feel like if I play, my hands I'll play for like 10 minutes and then my hands just get real tired and crampy and my hands are sore and I just don't know how to be able to play. I don't know how people can play for 3 hours and never get tired. Usually, the reason why your hands start to get crampy or get really uncomfortable after a short period of time, That is a matter of technique. So I'm going to give you a very simple exercise, and I'm going to go over, this is something that you really should be doing for the right hand as well as the left hand. So if you're a beginner, you can do it separate hands. If you want to challenge yourself, you can do this exercise both hands together. Either way, it works fine. So again, for reference, this is C, which is the white key to the left of the two black keys, because the black keys go in 2, 3, 2, 3. This is C to the left of the two black keys. And it goes D, E, F, G, A, B, and then next C. And then it starts over. What we're going to do first is we're going to learn the exercise, and I'm going to show you guys the different techniques you need to apply when you're working on this exercise. It's really easy. All you have to do, and we'll start with the right hand, is you're going to take your thumb, you're going to play C. The next note you're going to play is with your index finger, your 2 finger, to play D. The next note you're going to play is E. You're going to use your middle finger or your 3rd finger. And you're going to stay in position. So all you're going to do is you're going to take your ring finger or your 4th finger and play F. And then you're going to take your 5th finger or your pinky to play G. So you're going to go up from C to D to E to F to G, using 1 finger at a time. And this isn't about speed, this is about playing comfortably, so you want to practice this at a speed that works comfortably for you. When you hit that top note, that G, you're going to come right back down, so you're going to hit it 1 time and then bring your ring finger back down to F. So you're going to go downward now. Then your 3rd finger is going to go to E. Your index finger is going to go to D. And then your thumb will go to C. So you're keeping your fingers on these notes, and you're just going to go up, back, up, back. In a slow fashion. And you can loop this by playing the top and bottom note 1 time. So ba da 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 1 time, ba da 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 1 time, ba 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 ba. So you can practice this as a drill. If you were to use the left hand, since the left hand is the opposite or the mirror image of the right hand, the left hand would actually start with the pinky at the bottom to play the same exercise. So you would use your pinky to play C to go from bottom to top. If you want, you can play the left hand an octave lower. If your right hand is here, your left hand can just play it from the next C over. And then you would use your ring finger for D, your 3rd finger or your middle finger for E, your index finger would play F, and your thumb would be at the top to play G. And just like before, you would just go back down right away. Your index finger for F, your 3rd finger or middle finger for E, your ring finger for D, and your pinky for C. So the left hand would play in this fashion. Just very slowly. And make sure, again, you're playing 1 note at a time, so you're not getting this kind of effect. You don't want that. You want a clean sound. So 1 note at a time. You go to the next note, you let go of the previous note. So now that we've learned the exercise, these are the different things or techniques that you need to use as you're practicing this exercise. Now, before I continue, again, I want to bring it to your attention. I have my free piano in 3 steps video. If you are a complete beginner and want to go from naming the keys to playing chords by ear, that 3-step video will show you how to do that in an easy fashion. So make sure that you sign up for that. It's either in the description box of this video or it's in the chat box of this video if you're watching this live. So how do we use this exercise to practice techniques that allow us to play more freely? The first thing you need to understand, and I'm going to use my right hand for this example, but it applies to both the right and the left hand. The first thing you need to understand is you need to keep your fingers relaxed. And what this does is if your fingers are relaxed, they kind of have this curved type of shape to them. So what you don't want to play is the flat fingers. You don't want to play like this. And you don't want the fingers that are bent outward like this. You want them nice and comfortable where the only parts of your fingers that are touching the keys are the fingertips. So what that does is it leaves, so if this is my key sideways, it leaves a nice space between the keys and the palm of my hand. So I'm not playing like this and I'm not playing like this. I'm playing like this as if I were to have like a golf ball or a tennis ball in between my fingers and the keys. So that's the first thing you want to know when you're practicing this song or practicing this exercise. Make sure that your fingers are nice and curved and that there's a good amount of space between the keys and the palm of your hand. And if you can help it, I know that everyone's situation is different when it comes to the keyboard. Depending on the height of the keyboard should really be kind of where your lower waist is. That way you can have a comfortable kind of L shape between your shoulders, your elbows, and where the keys are. I know sometimes, depending on where your keyboard is, if you don't have a bench, if you're playing on, you know, on the dining room table or on a desk, that might not be the most practical thing. But if you have a bench, an official bench, if you're in front of a piano, ideally you would have your your elbows slightly above where the piano is, where what is this called? The forearm? Not quite sure. I'm not good with anatomy, but this part of your arm should be kind of at even level with the keyboard. That allows you to be able to play that curved posture a lot easier. If you don't have that set up right now, that's perfectly fine. This is just something to kind of keep in mind as you're moving forward in your piano journey. The other thing you need to keep in mind, so not just relaxed fingers, because this is why a lot of people tend to have a hard time playing for long periods of time, is that they're using too much muscle when it comes to the fingers, even when it comes to their entire arm, which I'll explain in a second. Is when you're using too much muscle with your fingers, that's what wears you out within a short period of time. Keeping your fingers nice and curved and nice and loose is going to thwart that use of muscle, and that's one of the keys that will help you play for such a longer period of time and being able to play a lot more comfortably. It may feel counterintuitive in the beginning because your brain wants to use muscle, but you have to fight against that, and you have to consistently use muscle. Even with me playing for, I don't know how many years I've been playing, almost 20 plus years, I still have to remind myself to relax my fingers. So that is going to be an ongoing journey for you. So even if you don't get it the first time, that's perfectly fine. It is something that you will have to keep doing over time, but it gets easier as you go. The other thing you want to keep in mind is, you want to kind of keep, pay attention to, is how loose your wrist is. Because if your wrist is tense or if it's tight, it's going to cause the rest of your arm and even your fingers to be tight as well. So one of the things you can do as you practice this exercise, you get familiar with it, is to ensure that your wrist is loose. As you play each note, you're going to move your wrist up and down. So let's say if you start with C, you move your wrist up. As you go to D, you move your wrist down. As you move to E, move your wrist up. As you move to F, move your wrist down. So it constantly checks for the looseness and the relaxation of your wrist. And you do the same thing with your left hand. So you go slow, you go C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C. So this will rewire your brain into making sure that your arms, your wrists, and your fingers are relaxed. Once you've gotten all of this down, you want to incorporate the metronome. Again, that's spelled M as in Mary, E, T as in Tom, O, R, wait, no, M as in Mary, E, T as in Tom, R, O, N as in Nancy, O, M as in Mary, E. If you go into the App Store, you should be able to find a ton of metronomes for free. So once you've gotten this exercise and once you've gotten those techniques down, what you can do is you can download the metronome, and you may want to start at either 50 or 60 beats per minute because it'll ask you for a number. And what you can do, why is this thing not playing? I'm trying to get this thing to turn on. Give me a second, guys. Okay, here we go. So you can hear the metronome. Right now it's going at 60 beats per minute. I would play one note per tick. Using that wrist action. Same thing with the left hand. And if you're feeling really ambitious, you can do both hands together. Which can also build coordination along with your motor skills. I'm trying to make sure I made, if I covered that when I wanted to cover. Yeah, so, and also, oh yeah, one more thing. With a metronome, if you start at a slow speed, let's say if you start at 50 beats per minute, once you've gotten comfortable with that particular speed, you can always increase it to 60 beats per minute and then just run through the exercise for a couple minutes and then increase the speed again to 70 beats per minute and then just give yourself a personal goal. That way you can start playing at faster speeds, but make sure that you get the comfortability part down first before you focus on speed. Because the idea is to bring that free-flowing feeling to faster speeds versus trying to speed up first and then trying to get the whole relaxation thing down. That's much harder to do. Get the relaxed fingers thing down first, then slowly work up to speed. Again, that will be an ongoing journey for you, but that is perfectly normal.